Hey, crafty friends. Are you looking for a way to use up your scraps? Do you have a ton of scraps laying around that you don't know what to do with? Well, today we're going to take and turn those scraps into a super fun festive project, and we're going to get started right now. Now, I have already stamped out my images and colored them, and I'm going to be using 4 different stamp sets. You saw one pop up on the screen. That was the Christmas tags stamp set from Prickly Pear. I'm also using the Snow Lady stamp set, 2 Snow Ladies, the Holly Jolly stamp set, and the Snowflake insert stamps. I've got some scrap pieces of watercolor paper that I had pre-cut for another project. I'm cutting down my pattern paper that I have from the Noel pattern paper pad and the holiday paper pad. I use combinations of both. I'm cutting those down to 3x4. My watercolor cardstock was 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, or I thought. And I'm cutting some of them down to 2x3, and 1 3/4 by 4 1/4, or 4. One of those. So I'm going to cut all those pieces of pattern paper to those 4 sizes. I'm keeping all the little scraps. This one I did screw up. I cut wrong, so I cut a little strip off, and I decided to cut that down a little smaller. I kept those little strips. I'm going to make that into a tag also. So what you're going to do is you're going to batch all of your cutting, and then we're going to batch all of our arranging. This is from the winter paper pad. All of my pattern papers from scrapbook.com today. I've got this little blue stocking I'm going to add. I thought that's why I chose that paper, because I knew I had these couple blue images, so I thought that would be perfect for little gift tags. And I'm going to just attach my paper on each one of them. This is the one I figured out. All my watercolor cardstock was not the same size, which is no biggie. I just fleeted down there and left a little gap at the top. I'm taking a piece of that same pattern paper, flipping it over. That's why I like scrapbook.com's paper pads, because they are double-sided and some of them have solids on one side. So I could easily take and make that into a fishtail banner. Now, for the other ones, the 2x3 pieces, I'm just going to attach at the bottom or at the top and attach my images right on top. So here I have one of the little snow ladies that I colored up using my Hoo-Hoo markers. And I'm just going to attach that right to the top, or right into the tag. And I'm going to take and make a banner from the scrap piece that was from that same piece of pattern paper. And I just flipped it over, cut it a little fishtail, and then trimmed up the sides to give it a little different angle. And I'm just going to attach that down to my tag, and I'm going to take and flip it over. Now, also, these would be a great thing to do if you didn't want to make tags, but you had these size scraps. You could easily turn these into focal points on a card by adding more pattern paper, or embossing a panel that was embossed, or just some simple cards by just attaching those down and adding a sentiment. So there's another idea you could use with your scraps. Now we're just going to continue working along. This is another one of these snow ladies. I will show you the finished tags at the very end, so stick around and see how I finished all of them off. All right, so I'm going to add this one. This is it's another design from that same pattern paper, and that's the great thing about pattern paper. If you get them from the same pack, they all work together, so it's no biggie. So I've attached that little banner because I wanted that little piece of black to coordinate the set of tags, because I did make them in set, and I did batch everything in different stages. So that would be my first set of advice. If you're going to make tags for any kind of holiday or occasion, batch first. So I would cut all my tag sizes first, do all my pattern paper, cut all that to the size, and I did screw up that one, and I was going to put the stars down. I glued the wrong size back to the tags for a second. So I'm just going to cut another piece of pattern paper from that paper pad, flip it over, and put it where that glue was, and I can just trim it off. Now, back to our batch steps here. So I would cut all my papers, and then I would stamp all my images at one time. Then I would sit down and color them all at one time. So you might have a day where all you're doing is cutting your supplies, getting ready, and putting them in a box. Then the next day you might just do all your stamping. If you have 5 or 10 minutes, it might be a week, whatever it takes to get all that done. Do all your stamping, and then you can sit down and just color the next night. and get all your coloring done. And then all you have to do when it comes to the time to put everything together is you sit and lay out. You grab a tag, grab a selection of pattern paper, put them together, see what you like that works, and add your little image. And that's all you got to do. And then you can do all your stamping for your sentiments, which we will get to shortly. So that would be how I batched all these, basically. I did all my coloring first, stamping and coloring first, and then I did my cutting of my pattern paper. And now I'm just assembling everything for y'all. So these are the Snow Holly Jolly stamp set. These are also from Prickly Pear. All the stamp sets I used today were from Prickly Pear, aka Pajama Crafter Stamps. There's one of those 1 3/4 by 4 1/4 inch strips. I just pop everything. I'm adding everything on there. So it was a great way to use up all these scraps of paper that I had, plus the pattern paper scraps. So I didn't feel bad about using those. Now, this is the one that I screwed up the cutting. So I just added the strip, changed up the design a little bit, and popped on those 2 little strips, and added some little stamped and colored images. And I had a beautiful tag. So nothing's going to waste. So just remember that. Now this is the other piece that I had cut from that pattern. I'm just flipping it over, doing that on the back, and adding a simple little colored candle in its little stalk and a little poinsettia flower. So you can see how by doing this whole process the way I'm doing it, I have my little bowl of colored images. I'm attaching my paper. I can thumb through the bowl, find something that coordinates with the paper, and attach it to the card. Like right here, this bell is a great little image for that. And then this pattern paper, I chose the candy cane because we already had some candy canes on there. And when I colored these, I kept them kind of traditional. I did throw in those couple blue ones and some pink ones because I knew I was going to be using the pink pattern, the paper with the pink in it, because I already had it. So that's why I colored those couple snowmen with the pink. And I just kind of worked my way through my little bowl, attaching patterns where I want on the size of the tags. I'm so used to making cards. So this one, I'm just adding that simple little candle. I thought it went nicely with the colors in the paper. And this one, I'm going to just attach this little quilt-looking pattern. I did end up with a couple extra stamped images that I ran out of the scraps of my cardstock that I was using, so I didn't go on anymore. Now, for our sentiments, I'm going to use, for the Snow Ladies, I'm using sentiments from that stamp set. The one that was the full pattern paper, I just flipped it over, stamped the sentiment on the back. And I stamped that a couple of times. I'm using Versamark VersaFine Clair inks for all my inks, because they are a pigment, and since this is watercolor paper, I am stamping them a couple times so that I get a nice, good impression on my stamping. Now, if I went back to do this over, I would probably stamp all the sentiments in black. That way, everything would tie in together. Not a super big deal. I did not finish any of the tags off on screen. I have pictures at the end of how I finished them off. To finish all of them off, all I did was simply round the corners. And that was pretty much, I punched a hole and ran my twine through. That was pretty much it. I made, I think, 20-something tags in under an hour. So it was super fast, super easy to do. This one, I'm going to put the Merry Christmas on the back. Do I? Yes, I do. I can't remember if I changed my mind or not. But I changed up the ink to match the paper. And then I'm also using for the Holly Jolly ones, I use some sentiments from that. And then I use sentiments from the Snowflake insert stamp set, which, by the way, if you're watching this, at the time of filming, the Snowflake insert stamp set was like $3 on clearance. So at Pajama Crafter Stamps, they do have a massive sale going on, trying to get rid of some of the Prickly Pear products that she has abundance of, and this was one of them. And I think it's a super cute stamp set. I also think, as I was making these, I came up with an idea that I think this stamp set would also be good for. If you have any of the postage products from any company. I think this stamp set would make super cute Christmas postage cancellation for your Christmas postage images. I think that stamp set would be super cute for that. You could just add that in with the postage stamps from other companies and have a super cute Christmas postage. So I wouldn't be surprised if y'all might see that later on. This is where I figured out that whole idea that I could do that. I don't know what the heck was taking so long about that. All right, but we're almost done with the stamping. I've got a few more, and I just stamped the sentiment in places that they would fit. That's basically what I did. I just found a place on the tags that I thought the sentiment looked nice, and then you can see me there moving that one around. And I just stamped it down in one of those colors of ink. I used just the red. I think it's tulip red, Oasis green, and there was that pink color. I don't remember what it is. It's listed in the visual supply list, and I used my regular VersaFine Clair Nocturne black ink to stamp all of my sentiments for these tags. At the end, you can see I kind of stayed with the black because it stood out the most on most of my pattern paper where I was stamping it, or on the watercolor cardstock. It's always my good go-to is that solid, that black pigment ink. But any of the VersaFine Clair inks are really good. They are actually stamped very well. So y'all know that I like this. All right, so there's all my little tags that we have made during this video, and here are some closer looks up at the tags. I will see you guys in the next video. I did break them down into sets. If you like this video, you're probably going to like this video coming up next, and I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to smash the like button and stay crafty.